Hello everybody, welcome to Daily Stock Market Analysis. I hope you all had a great weekend. And those who are new, we will start with crypto. We'll start with Bitcoin and Ethereum. We'll do a review and then we'll review broader market. We'll go through US equity, S&P 500, Nasdaq, and also we'll review commodities and then some of the tech stocks and some stocks which are in buy zone and gold and other sectors. So this is the flow we go. So before I go further, if you are enjoying the content, please hit the like button. It only takes you 1 second. There's a thumb button. I will really appreciate. Share with your friends and family. Help this channel grow. And if you're making money, want to thank me, you can. There's a PayPal link in the description. I would appreciate all your donations. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, this is Bitcoin's daily chart. And you can see, if I zoom out a bit, you can see very nicely, this is in this around 31K resistance zone. This resistance zone is around 32,000. Okay, at high it can go up to there, but we are right into this major resistance zone. It's not going to be a very easy for Bitcoin to go there. If you are a bull, just remember there's another level on top around 40,000, I would say. So that's also possible. So we need to know all possibilities. So if you break this resistance zone, most likely Bitcoin is going to go flat up. You can see this line here. If I zoom in a bit, there's not a lot of trading here. So it's gonna, if Bitcoin manages to go above 31,000, it's gonna be a very quick trip to 40,000. So you can wait if you want to be sure, just wait for a close above this 32,000, and if that happens, it's gonna be quick push to 40,000. So that could be a quick 20% pump by Bitcoin. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And let's bring in some EMAs here. Let's bring in, yeah, there you go. So these are moving averages. You can see what's happening on Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin is nicely following this trend line. So you can see it's nicely support here, and nicely support here, nicely following this trend line and holding this trend line. So if you are holding Bitcoin, just make sure that you can draw a trend line like this, and you can wait for either a break of this trend line or you can buy on this support. So if you're in profit, you should be looking to take profits and then see if Bitcoin comes down here and then try to attempt a new all-time high. So try for that. Okay, look for those spots for Bitcoin. Let me get rid of these. But there is some area of concern for Bitcoin. The issue I have with this chart is, let me get rid of this very quick, and because the Bitcoin is forming divergences, you can see price is going higher. You can see this high is higher than previous high, but you can see what's happening on PPO. You can see there's a divergence. This is lower momentum, and even on RSI you can see here, you can see RSI equal or slightly lower momentum, but PPO is showing me these are momentum indicators. They are telling me that lower prices are coming. And you can see Bitcoin, you can see RSI is now looking like, you can see background light green. You can see what happened here. Same thing, this was oversold. So Bitcoin is oversold now, and also on resistance. So this is where you should be looking to lock profits. Do not be very aggressive buyer here. If you bought anywhere throughout this pump here since I think October here, look to take profits, guys. Do not, this is not the time to be bullish here. Wait for the pullback. Now because we have divergences, I do think we will get a pullback. Now there is this trend line, this red 50 SMA line, this can also like go up like that. It can come and touch that, or Bitcoin can even go to test this trend line before a bounce higher. So that's also possible. Okay, but short term looks like we need a pullback. Okay, and then if I go to 1 hour chart on Bitcoin, you can see same thing. You can see we were making higher highs. You can see same scenario here. You can see momentum was going lower. You can see this high here with lower PPO momentum, and even on RSI we had lower momentum. You can see very nicely. So now we are getting a dump. Okay, and you can see first support is here. These two lines, light blue line and dark blue line, they are 200 EMA and SMA. So they'll I think Bitcoin can even go here at minimum before it bounce. So let's see, from here to there, it's around 2.5%. It's quite possible Bitcoin can go a little bit more lower, find support here, and then bounce. You can see these two lines were resistance. You can see here we bounced above it, and then we we tried to hold support, but then once we came below it, it was like acting like a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, and then we finally broke out, and now we are going higher on divergence, okay, and in a big resistance zone here, which I told you. So just be careful. Divergence on 1 hour chart and on daily chart as well. And also if I zoom in here, let's see if I can zoom in this one. You can see what's happening here. This green line is trying to now turn, so you don't want this to turn too much. So if it crosses here under red line is still a bit far. If it crosses below red line, that's gonna be a confirmation of divergence. So still I don't have a confirmation yet. Confirmation means I want to see a switch between green and red line. So still there is some time, but you can see even these lines are now fading, light lines. So that means we gotta be careful here. One thing to note on Bitcoin futures, there is a gap left because this pump happened on Friday and Saturday, and then now this time Bitcoin futures opened with a gap here. So most of the gaps are filled. So I like to make top gaps yellow, bottom gaps green, because I keep top gaps yellow as resistance and bottom gaps as support. So if I go to daily chart, so there's a gap here around. So right here around 31,000. So Bitcoin can definitely go there, fill that gap. There's also a gap here around 20,000, and also if I zoom out, it's also a gap here around 35,000. So all these gaps most likely fill. 90% of the times gaps get filled. I just don't know when. So it's possible Bitcoin can go up, fill this gap first, then come down to fill this gap, or Bitcoin can go up, fill 35K gap first, and then come down, or Bitcoin can come down and fill gap. But my scenario is just keep an eye on this trend line. As long as Bitcoin is holding this trend line, you can be bullish. You can see you can try to buy on touch of this trend line, and then sell when we're going higher. So again, if you come back to this trend line, look to buy here and then sell again here. Okay, so it's that's what's happening on crypto. And then Bitcoin, and then Ethereum. Let's see if there's anything. Ethereum is a bit weaker compared to Bitcoin. You can see it still did not make a new all-time high, so I cannot say divergences. Let's look at 1 hour chart. If you can find something, you can see nicely here also it made a new high with divergence on PPO. I think I was showing this on my previous video, and even on RSI you can see divergence is happening. New high with divergence on lower momentum on PPO or RSI, and then we're getting a dump. Now the only thing which on futures of Ethereum, I don't see any gaps. So yeah, nothing here. You can see futures have no gap. You can see this massive gap here. If you look at my video a couple of days ago, I said this gap will be filled when we were here. Eventually we went and filled this gap, but there are no gaps there now. On daily on Ethereum, if you want to look at gaps, there is a gap here around 1428, and there's also a big gap here around 2636. So eventually these gaps will be filled. I think maybe we're gonna go down first, fill this gap, and then go higher. But let's see. Also, you can draw a trend line. Let me show you on live market. I think I have a trend line there, so you can clearly see. You can see this trend line. And now Bitcoin broke below. Now it's trying to go above. Let's see if we can adjust this trend line a bit. Can we make something like this? Let's see if it's a possibility. I don't think so. No, that's not possible. So I'm gonna leave that trend line like this for now. Give me a second. We can make a trend line like this for now. You can see there are multiple tags of this trend line, and we'll go with that for now. Okay. All right, so yeah, you can see a little bit sell off, and now we're going above. And also you can see Ethereum is in this big resistance zone, and which is anywhere from 1900 to 1790, so around 1800. So it's in like a big resistance zone. So again, same thing with Ethereum. Look to sell here, wait for at least a trend line, dip to this trend line before going higher. So crypto, basically profit taking time in crypto, in my opinion. And one other thing I want to show you, if I go to quickly to 1 minute chart, like short-term analysis, if you're looking to buy Bitcoin short-term, let's quickly see if where we are with the standard deviation indicator. Let's say quickly if you can find anything here. You can see if I zoom out a bit, you can see live market here. This is the testing tool I'm testing right now, but you can see here Bitcoin is now in the buy zone. If you look at my videos, I think I released few videos. I said Bitcoin is right here in the sell zone. So if you shorted anything above red line, you look to sell. On the green line, you look to buy. You can see Bitcoin now. Today it touched green line. You could have bought here. Now Bitcoin can definitely go up and go to 30,000. That's possible, but it's in the middle. This is no trade zone. So you can look at these lines for tomorrow. This is just for short term for tomorrow. These lines do change automatically based on price action, but looks like Bitcoin is in that no trade zone. So you look to buy here. So whoever bought here around 30,000, that was a good buy. Look to sell around 30,600. All right. And Ethereum, let's quickly look at Ethereum. So Ethereum is again in a very nice buy zone. It's still in the buy zone as of now, right when I'm recording. It's in the buy zone, so it can go up to 1898, but you can see these are curving downside, so they can look to go lower with the time. So yeah, so Ethereum is down 2%, so but it is in the buy zone. So if you are taking this trade, look to sell around 1890. All right. Okay, guys, that's it for crypto. And if you're here only for crypto, guys, this is it. I'm gonna go now and look into broader indices, and you're welcome to stay. And if you are only here for crypto on your way out, please hit the like button. I will really appreciate that. All right. So let's quickly look at other sectors. Let's start with the US 500, S&P 500. This is daily chart of S&P 500. You can see very nicely the projections are coming how I anticipated, and very nicely now we're getting this dip. We're getting very close to the buy zone. So from here to my buy zone, I think this week will bottom basically around 1%. So start slowly accumulating S&P 500. SPY is the ETF if you want to buy. SPY, this is the ETF. You can slightly look to accumulate that. So again, looking for this to buy here, trying for another bounce. So again, going here. What I'm expecting is getting this get bought up this week, basically very close to the buy zone, start to buy it, and then looking for another pump. So at minimum looking for previous high of 44.46 on US 500, and if I look at SPY, that level would be, let's see. So at minimum, I'm looking for a pump to 443 previous high, and it can even go slightly higher, but previous high is when I will be looking to take profits, and then I'm looking for a dump in October. Okay, this will be very significant zone of weakness for the entire market, and I think tech will lead it. Okay, so be very careful. So if you're a short-term trader, look to basically buy on this dip, okay, for a small pump, and then take profits. Okay, this significant area here, this weakness will be you got to be very careful. And if you're in profits, and if you don't wanna, like, this is my expectation, it can directly go there as well. So I don't know, but if you are in profits, look to lock your profits. Okay, this is not the time to be hero. And especially if you want to buy financials, healthcare, stay away from tech. Tech is looking really extended, and I think I'm expecting around 10 to 14% correction this year. So be very careful in tech. Okay, so this is S&P 500. Let's go to SPY and see 1 hour chart if there are any gaps on S&P 500. Let's see here. So this is 1 hour chart, and let's hide these lines to see if you can find something. Okay, you can see on 1 hour chart there's a gap here around. So first gap is 438, second gap is 437, third gap is 435 to the top side. However, there are bottom gaps as well. So now this one I have to adjust this because somehow TradingView is messed up. It keeps messing up every time. I think I adjusted this, but now it's again messed up. Let's see if I can okay, so now, okay, so there's also a gap here around 420, I think 420.46. so I don't know if we're gonna go that far, but we could. So that could be around 2.4%. okay, so if I go to daily chart, I'm thinking we might not go there because there's this support area here. You can see this line here, this rectangle area here. You can see this mini support here. So I think at minimum we're gonna go and touch here around let's see, 427.80. so very close. So we're gonna, if we are here tomorrow, day after, look to buy, looking for a bounce and then go lower. All right. And also I wanted to show you this chart. Let me quickly bring it to the screen. This is my other chart, and if I bring this up, maximize this, you can see how nicely now we are away from the sell zone. Okay, so we very nicely we went in the sell zone again above purple line, and now we are going down, but we are still in the sell zone. If you're a long-term investor, you should be looking to buy under this yellow line, and we will be there. Okay, we will be there maybe in October. I don't know when, but we'll be there this year. So look to buy below this yellow line. For now, this is still a sell zone. This zone between dotted line and purple line and above purple line is perfect short, but we are still in the sell zone. All right. And this is just to show you where we are. Okay, so same thing with the triple Qs, Nasdaq. So I'm expecting similar things. So a little bit of more selling, but I'm personally staying away from tech because this is not the time. This is very extended. Most of the stocks are going into they're trading at huge multiples than the earnings are estimated. So it sounds like just a fake pump from Wall Street, and I want to stay away from that. I would rather buy financials or healthcare stocks, which are or industrial stocks, which are better valuations. So okay, so on triple Qs, you can see there is this trend line. Very nice trend line, and also there's, I think at minimum we're going to fill this gap. If I go to 1 hour chart, this is the ETF we used to trade Nasdaq. So you can see very nicely we are very close to this 354 gap. So from today's close to that gap, we are around 0.88, so around 1% away. And then there's another massive gap here around 332. So from today's close to that gap here, it's around 7%. All right. So these gaps will be filled, guys, eventually. So yeah, just be mindful of that. And if I go to 1 hour chart, there's a gap left to the top. So I think maybe we'll get a pump to fill that gap. And that's about it for tech this year. We'll see how that goes. But for now, also there is this trend line. Keep an eye on this white trend line. Okay. And if we go there, I think if we're going to come all the way here, we might as well come and fill this gap. But for now, I don't know if we're going to go that far, or we're going to just go here, because S&P 500 is very close to the buy zone. We could be just here and then try for another pump higher and fill this gap most likely, and then go lower. I think that makes more sense, but it's quite possible we can come down all the way here as well and then bounce. Okay, so I don't know which scenario will play out. For now, I think I'm going to keep it like this, because S&P 500, like I showed you before, is very close to the buy zone. So I'm going to keep this scenario. And then if I go to 1 hour chart, you can see on 1 hour huge divergence on RSI and PPO. Same story, going higher on lower momentum. Now we're getting a dump. Let's quickly look at SPY if it was same there as well. You can see SPY had also very similar, not easily visible, but triple Q showed it very nicely. Okay. So anyhow, so looking for lower prices, guys, in tech. All right, and let's keep moving. Also Dow Jones and US 2000, they are good ETFs. Sorry, this is the live market. If you want to trade Dow Jones, this is industrial sector. This is looking good. I think if you want to buy, if you're very curious, if you're in tech, sell it. If you don't like individual stocks, buy the sector, buy Dow Jones. It is in the buy zone actually today. You can see buy DIA, buy IWM. Okay, so if you are very interested, if you don't know what to buy, just buy this index. It consists of 30 stocks, all industrial stocks and cyclical stocks. So this is a pretty good sector to be in, rather than just pure tech. Okay, and you can see Dow Jones, another gap here, another gap here, another gap at the bottom. It could come all the way down there, that's possible, but with S&P 500, let's see, that's almost 2%. It is quite possible, but it is in the buy zone. It doesn't need to come now. It can be bought anytime right now. It is in the buy zone again, so this is where you want to be buying. Okay, IWM, same thing. I think it is in the buy zone. Again, you should be looking to buy. This is a gap here. Okay, but I don't know if we're going to go that far. So from today's close, that gap is around 2.75. I don't know if you're going to go all the way there, but again, it's in the buy zone. Look for buying this, and I'm looking for at minimum test of previous highs. You can see all the way down. It is leaving some gaps. This is not a gap, this is just a resistance line here. So from today's close to this, it's around 4%. Okay, so yeah, just keep an eye. If in any case tomorrow, if we are here, this is a golden opportunity to buy IWM. This is Russell 2000 index. This is a list of small companies, 2000 small companies which are trading on US market. All right. Okay, so let's keep moving. Gold is looking very good. It's in the you can see it's in the demand zone right now. This is basically the demand zone. Okay, something wrong with the trading view. Okay, so here you go. It's in the buy zone. So I think gold is about to bottom very soon. And if I go to 1 hour chart, let's see if we see any divergences happening. You can see 1 hour chart nicely showing these divergences. So you can see PPO, very nice divergence. RSI, not that beautiful divergence happening, but you can see here we just made a divergent high on RSI and PPO as well. So gold is looking good for a bounce, and you can see gold miners are taking a bid. You can see gold miners ETF GDX. Actually, I'm looking for gold to touch new all-time high this year. So from here, I'm looking for maybe it can go as high as 3,000. Okay, I don't think it's going to go 3,000 this year. Maybe it's going to go 2,300, but that's going to be a massive bounce. Gold miners are looking really good. You can see I released a video last week and I said buy, and it's still in a same spot. It is up 1%, but it's still in a very nice buy spot. You can see what's happening. We made a new low with divergence on PPO and RSI. Okay, so gold miners are looking very good. GDX, I bought them, I'm holding them, and there are a few gaps that are down, so it is possible we can. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is around, I think around in the morning 8:30 a.m. Eastern is Canadian CPI index, CPI report. So if things are going bad, if inflation comes higher, then we might get a sell-off. But if inflation is under control, then gold will pump. Gold will pump like anything. So that's going to be a huge pump for gold miners. So these are looking really good to buy right now. So I'm holding gold miners myself. I'm also holding UNH, and also I will talk about PFE and GS. These are the two stocks I'm looking to buy. Maybe let's quickly. Actually, I'm going to talk at the end, and I will show you why I'm looking to buy this. If you want to stay till the end, I will tell you. NDXY dollar, I'm looking for lower prices in dollar. Looking for lower price. That's going to be bullish for gold miners. Silver will do exactly as gold. So silver is already in the buy zone, and I told you before, look to buy silver. And yeah, this looks good. Let's see if we can draw some kind of a trend line on silver from here, if it's possible. Something like this. You can see very nicely silver right here. Yeah, you can see nicely on a trend line, and it's in the buy zone. You can draw Fibonacci retracements in the buy zone. All right, so silver is also looking good. And crude oil, again, it's stuck between resistance and support. You can see it's right in the middle. No trades here. And let me bring some moving averages to see if there's anything we can figure out. And you can see if I zoom in, it's finding resistance on its 50 daily SMA line. Again, try to bounce, failed, and now it came here. People bought up, and now still kind of stuck in the middle. So oil is confused, just stuck in the middle of the range. Natural gas already bottomed, and I've been telling you guys buy natural gas, and now it looks like it's just pumping. So I think the bottom is in, and it's just higher times for natural gas. Just keep going higher. So whoever got in, congratulations. Copper very close to the bottom. Again with the gold. Although it's breaking down a bit, but it's in a buy zone right now. So CEPER is the ETF you can look to buy. Looking for copper to bounce very soon. Palladium is stuck in bullish wedge. So I will show you. This is the wedge. You can see bullish falling wedge, and Palladium was up 1.5% today. So I'm looking for this wedge to break out very soon. You can see what's happening. Higher momentum on PPO and even on RSI. If I show you here, you can see very nicely. This is higher momentum on even on RSI. So just looking for this wedge to break out. So things are looking good. Wheat just cooling down a bit. Nothing to bother. Again, this trend line, white trend line. Look to buy on this trend line. I draw this line you can see before. Now if you go back to this trend line, look to buy, and I think I'm looking for another pump on wheat. And corn. corn was kind of crazy sell-off, but I think it, let's draw Fibonacci retracements, and you can see very nicely it's in the buy zone, and it came in the buy zone and now it pumped. So corn was up 0.5% with multiple gaps on futures, so corn is looking good for a pump. Soya beans, let's quickly look at soya beans, and still a bit away, very strong. It came to this 200 EMA and then bounce, and also it's above this 200 EMA, so looking very strong. It did not even come to this buy zone, but I'm not interested in trades until it comes to this buy zone, but it might not come at all. Sugar down 3%, looks like it may making a lower lows now, so also it broke this trend line, so this is not good. This is a bearish indication, so stay away from sugar. Now if I want to see divergences developing before I get bullish again, but no trades here, so stay away from sugar, looking really bad right now. And let's quickly look at bonds. Bonds basically flat, and I'm looking for equal lows or lower lows and then a bounce. Let's keep moving. Let's look at sectors. Energy sector is bouncing. However, I am not bullish this year in energy sector. If I go to 1 hour chart, I think we filled some gaps. So you can see this gap is filled. You can see how nicely we usually fill this gap. And now if I zoom out, you can see, let's go to daily chart and see there's a massive gap here around $70. So I'm staying away from energy sector until this gap is filled at minimum. So I will be buying here, not anywhere here. Utilities looking pretty strong, and you can see how nicely utilities are holding this trend line. So keep this trend line in mind. And I guess I have to adjust this again because TradingView is it gave dividends and something messed up, and I have to adjust this all the time. But utility sectors, actually, let's see if I can draw this nicely here, because I have to make sure it takes into account a few touches. So I can make something like, let's see, bear with me, something like this. Okay, something like this. Okay, so you can see multiple touches, so just keep in mind this is on this touch, buy it, and then utilities is looking good. There's a gap here around 69. There's another massive gap here around 74, and yeah, looking strong. Healthcare is also good. I think this is the sector, healthcare and financials. I'm really looking for them to take S&P 500 for next leg higher or equal high. So you can see very nicely it came all the way below this 50 SMA, then found support around 200 EMA and 200 SMA, and now it's bouncing. It's a very good close, very bullish close above this 50 SMA line. So although it's 0.5% down, but this is a strong close, so it just back tested the support, now going higher. And if I go to 1 hour chart, let's see what happened. You can was there any gap here? I'm just trying to figure out why it came all the way down. No gap here. It was mainly due to Pfizer. I will show you. Pfizer was down in the morning 5.5–6%, and people just bought it, so that's the reason it was down. And industrial stocks also looking all right, and looking like it's just bouncing a bit. Again, it came very close to the buy zone. You can see here came touch buy zone. So tomorrow, if we get a little bit downside, look to buy industrial stocks before going higher. Real estate sector, massive bounce, and again holding this trend line. Again, I have to adjust this, but I think I said in my previous video, as long as it's holding this trend line, it's good. Came very close to trend line and bouncing. Good close, very strong close above these moving averages. Red is the main one you need to focus, 50 SMA. So looking good for a bounce. Financials are still weak, and this is the sector you should be looking to buy. And if tomorrow for any reason there is a gap here around 31.97, if the closer we get to the gap, the closer it's getting to the bottom. So it's around 2% from here. So start buying banks, looking good. Like Goldman Sachs is the banks I'm looking to buy. This is looking really good right now, and I don't see either multiple gaps up, a gap down. So looking for a little bit more weakness, maybe next couple of days. If we get that, that will be perfect entry for financials. Let's quickly look at some of the tech stocks. Tesla down 6%. I told you guys stay away from all the tech stocks, and you can see there are multiple gaps to the downside, and you can see now it's finding support on this 20 EMA, but there's also a gap. Let me hide this so that you can see it very nicely here. You can see this gap. So it's like how much percentage away from here. So most likely it's going to fill this gap. So 2.3%, 2.23%. Most likely Tesla is going to fill this gap tomorrow, and maybe it will bounce after that, right? So because S&P 500 is very close to the bottom, so looking for this gap to fill, then maybe a dead cat bounce and then going lower. All right, maybe this low will come, it will try to go higher till this earning day, and then it's going to dump after earnings. Just the reason is because you can see all these gaps. You can see all these green lines are the gaps to fill to the downside, and there's a massive gap here around 144, right? So this gap will also be filled. I just don't know when. And for some reason that gap from there to here is like 40%. Wow, that's a significant sell-off if you get that. Just be careful, guys. It's crazy right now in tech. And Apple, this is Apple chart. Looks like it hit a new high today, but you can see it's on divergences. You can see RSI and PPO is having divergence, and also all these gap to the downside. Google down 3%. Still, I don't think the sell-off is over. It can bounce a little bit, but at minimum, I'm looking for this gap to fill around 113. So a little bit more downside before a bounce. Actually, let me draw an arrow here on Google because I had an arrow drawn before, but which I deleted. So looking for this gap to fill. And Microsoft almost 2% down. Again, you can see at minimum looking for this gap here around 316 to fill. There's another gap here around 276. You can pick what gaps to fill. Meta, let's see what happened. Did it break the trend line? Let's see. There's a trend line, and if I go to 1 hour chart, you can see on Meta it just broke below, just back testing. I think this looks like a big breakdown of trend line. And yeah, it does look like a breakdown of trend line. So this is very bearish for Meta, and it could be a big sell-off coming very soon because you can see multiple gaps to the downside, and also you can see divergence. We're just going higher on divergence on PPO, right? So this is going to be a big sell-off on Meta in my opinion. Amazon down 1.5%, and again same story. You can see multiple gaps to the downside. You can pick which gap. There's also a trend line, so we'll see if it bounces after this trend line. Netflix, let's quickly look at Netflix. Also, Netflix is also let's see. There's also a trend line, and with multiple gaps, becoming very. So I think more sell. This looks like more selling is coming in tech, and Snowflakes are down 4%. And again, this massive gap, it will be filled around 136. NVDA down almost 4%, still holding, but there's a gap right here around 395. Then there's a massive gap around 306. So I think a big sell-off is coming in tech, and that will be led by semiconductors, it sounds like. And AMD also, well, it is in a buy zone, but because I expect more downside in tech, I'm not touching AMD, but it is in the buy zone if you really want to buy. Intel, it came to this support zone. You can see the whole area here was the support, and now it's bouncing. So I think this bounce will fail very soon. Let's see if any other good stock. Disney's again 0.6%. It's in the buy zone. Disney is looking good as a long-term investor. I said that before as well. This is a second chance. It tried to pump, and now it still couldn't do it, but now it's again in the buy zone. So you can see Disney for a while. If I zoom out a bit, you can see it's right here when Disney was 2015, right at same price. Okay, this is like a golden opportunity for long-term investment in Disney. CVS Health also looking good. Also, there's some gap here on CVS. If I zoom in a bit, you can see it was going down or higher momentum on PP and RSI with this trend line break, and now it did a back test. Now it's just going higher. So looking for higher prices on CVS as well. ABBV is also the other one. The only reason I'm waiting, I would like to see a new low form on ABBV compared to this low. I don't know if you will get that, but if you see a new low, maybe on the dividend day here around 13th of July, we'll get that. But if you see a new low, if you see momentum is higher on PP and RSI, that will be a good entry. You can see a massive gap here, another gap here. So if we get a pump, even from today, the first pump is 4%, the second pump is around 19%. So eventually these gaps will be filled if you can hold that long, but also there's a gap at the bottom. So I don't like ABB here. I don't see any reasons to buy it right now. And let's quickly look at two stocks which I was telling you to buy. Pfizer, you can see it gap down. Why it's looking good is because you can see we made a new low compared to previous low, slightly new low, but with divergence. You can see PPO and RSI are on a divergence. You can see price is going lower with the higher momentum on PPO and RSI. You can see RSI is higher, so that's good. The only reason I don't like to buy is um, on 1 hour chart. I don't see any divergence. I want to see divergences building on 1 hour chart, but I did get a buy signal towards the end, so I might not get it. I'm just gonna wait, and I need some more data. But if you're a long-term investor, you can look to buy Pfizer here. And also, if I quickly show you other indicator, which is this standard deviations indicator. If you go to 1 minute chart, you can see here on Pfizer, you can see we are in the buy zone here. You can see very nicely we are in the buy zone. We fell way below buy zone, and at minimum, I think this gap here, which is around maybe, let's see, from today's close, this gap is around 3-4%, so we're gonna probably go and fill this gap at some time. All right, so be mindful of that. Goldman Sachs is same thing. You can see it's still in the buy zone. It's near third standard deviation. This is a really good buy right now, guys. Okay, if I hide this, I will show you. You can see daily chart. You can see Goldman Sachs. I don't see any divergences yet, but my short-term indicator is saying buy it. And also this is one of the stocks, one of the top Dow Jones stock, S&P 500 also. This is like in first 10 list, so also this is looking good. Okay, so yeah, keep an eye on these two stocks for long-term investment. This is looking good as well. Okay, guys, if you're still here, guys, on the way out, please hit the like button. I really appreciate, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.